Eric Paul's here with 9 to 5 Sports, going to give you guys the picks, previews, and core plays here for the AT&T Byron Nelson, which is actually going to be played at a new course here in 2021. So we'll break that down. I do just want to give a quick thank you to everyone last week that liked the videos, that did help out the algorithm a ton. Saw a lot more new users coming in that were able to discover 9 to 5 last week. So do appreciate that. If you guys could do that again this week, leave that thumbs up, leave that like. Do appreciate that. Let's get into the picks, previews, and core plays for this week. As you guys know, though, I always do like to give that recap of the previous week. Last week, in all honesty, was not a good week. It was a miss. Last week was a miss, but the fact that we kind of knew that was going to be a miss is a good thing. You know, on last week's videos, there's some people in the comment section saying that, you know, oh, we only have 2 core plays this week. I'm like, yeah, guys, I don't control that. That's just the week that we have. It wasn't a good week. You know, there's a lot of good plays, not enough great plays. Really, the players that were in good recent form had bad course history, or the players that had good course history were in bad recent form. It was really hard to nail down which players that you should actually be on, which is why I made it yellow red week. Obviously, a red week is not a good thing, and I was honestly a little bit shocked that it was a red week. We've had a bunch of quality tournaments in a row. You know, really 5 out of the last 6 weeks have been spectacular, with this last week not being there. You know, it did feel like a trap week. It was one that I thought would be harder to predict, and that ended up being true. What's like the most is that I thought we were going to be able to hit Abraham Answer 35-1, end up losing by 1 to Roy, which is unfortunate. Just looking over the player pool, though, you know, only 63% of the players from last week's player pool made the cut. And that didn't help that Webb Simpson was there. And I'll talk about the whole Webb Simpson thing at the end of this video. So if you guys want to hear a little rant, stay to the end of the video. But you know, there are going to be weeks like that. That's just going to happen. But we'll get into the picks for this week. You know, look to bounce back this week, and I think we'll be able to do that. We got the Byron Nelson. So do want to just say this is a new tournament, or this is a new course. It's not a new tournament. It's going to be played at a new course. So it does definitely look like more of a link style course, but it does kind of look like a typical Texas link style course, if you will. You know, I feel like I was looking for some comp courses, and I'll talk about this in a second. I was able to find a couple of comp courses, but, you know, it is going to play as a par 72, which was a little bit shocking to me. I did see it as a par 71 here and there. I was going to play a little bit longer. We are going to see bank greens, and it is going to be on 11.5 for a stint meter, which to me, you know, it's going to be playing a little bit slower. I was looking at pictures and stuff. It looked like it was going to play a little bit faster than that, so kind of shocking to see that. We have seen this tournament, though, in 2012 and 2018. At that tournament, we saw, you know, it's the Corn Ferry Tour. You know, back then it was the Web.com Tour and the Nationwide Tour in 2018 and 2012. But the winning scores there were 17 under par and 16 under par. In 2012, we saw James Hahn finish 2nd place, Adam Hadwin finished 3rd, Russell Henley 6th, Cameron Piercy 19th, Angel Brunlet and finished 31st that year. So, you know, we do have a little bit of data to go off of, but mostly we're going to be playing this by ear. Going to be having to use maybe some similar courses to draw our data in from. And that's exactly what I did this week, is that I was looking at some comp courses to use, and the comp courses I landed up on were actually the Valero Texas Open and then the Houston Open. Now, the Houston Open was played on 2 different courses over the past 2 years that we've seen on tour, but we are still able to draw in a pretty good conclusion of what to expect there. Players that, you know, are going to be good stat fits for those stats that were popping up are going to be John Rahm, Ryan Palmer, Daniel Berger, and Bryson. And then Doug Ghim popping up there as well, which was a little bit shocking to me. But really, for this tournament, it is going to play a little bit more strategic, I think. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. But we are going to be looking at strokes gained tee to green, effective strokes gained total, you know, just kind of factoring everything together. That's kind of where I come up with that stat. Effective total driving, effective birdie to bogey ratio. Once again, you know, strokes gained tee to green, effective total birdie to bogey ratio. That's just stuff that you want to be looking at kind of every week. But I think it's going to be more of a key factor this week. Looking at advantage history, this is going to be comp course history. So the last 2 Valero Texas Opens and the last 2 Houston Opens. Now, the last 2 Houston Opens were played at 2 different courses, which I kind of like for this specific reason, that we're going to be getting 3 different courses that are going to be comp courses for us. They're going to play similar. We're going to be able to draw in a little bit more data conclusions. Obviously, when looking at comp courses, you don't want to be, you know, really married to anything. You don't want to be hanging your hat on anything. It's just nice to see, you know, consistency from a player that might have a specific style of course that they're played well at. But it's nothing you want to go crazy with, like you maybe would on a typical week. The players that are popping up there are DJ, Talor Gooch, Anahaban Lahiri, Brooks Koepka and Jason Day. Now, looking at players that are going to be in good recent form, if I had to really choose one stat to go off of this week, it would be this stat, recent form. Jordan Spieth obviously been a stud recently. Thomas Pieters is popping up because he has 2 starts over the last 10 weeks, and those are both top 15 finishes. We got Matt Fitzpatrick popping up there, Bryson, and then Siwoo Kim. Siwoo Kim casually surprised me there. He's made 5 straight cuts in a row, with the last 3 being 33rd, 12th, and 23rd place finish. Kind of shocking to me. I did not know that he had been playing that well. He could be someone that we end up on this week. But let's get into the picks for this week, guys. So this is kind of a similar thing last week where the high-end range is going to be absolutely loaded. It's going to be very difficult to find a player really not to play because they all look like great picks. Honestly, top down, probably one of the better player pools that I remember in a long time. DJ is going to be absolutely spectacular. Bryson, love him as a pick this week. He should dominate. Jon Rahm, I fully expect to bounce back. Jordan Spieth just dominates in Texas courses. We know that. Houston Open missed the cut by Valero first. Valero Texas Open in 2019 did well. Hideki checking all the boxes, really. Worry about him kind of maybe not playing golf that much after having to quarantine for 2 weeks. Interesting there. You got Daniel Berger, who I actually really like. Daniel Berger, surprising that his comp course history was not popping up that much. Brooks Koepka coming back from his injury. There are a ton of great plays, but for me this week, there's not going to be that many good value plays. So for me, I might just end up on rolling with a player like Matt Fitzpatrick here, guys, who Matt Fitzpatrick is really popping up there. He's going to be my first core play of the week. So we can kind of see it stat-wise. You guys saw it there. Really ranks out top 50 and everything that we're looking at this week, which is going to be good for a top 12 stat fit. Effective strokes gained total, he ranks out top 20 in that. If I had to sort by one stat, I would just filter the top 50 in that stat, and I'd go from there. That'd be the one thing I would go with. He's made the cut in his last 6 events, but all of them being top 35 or better finishes, all but one of them being top 20 or better finishes, and he has 1, 2, 3, 4 top 10 finishes over his last 6 starts. Obviously, Matthew Fitzpatrick has been playing spectacular golf. He's going to be a go-to core play for me this week. We move on into the next core play. That's actually going to be Scottie Scheffler. So obviously I like this price point range. Scottie Scheffler to me is really the one that's checking all the boxes, the one you want to go out of your way the most. He ranks out top 10 in effective total driving and effective ball striking. Ranks out top 50 or better in all the other stats that we're looking at, except for effective greens gain, which this is a tournament or a course where I do think we could see strokes gained around the green matter a little bit more. Let's not go crazy with it. These are 2 guys I feel pretty good with, putting on the outright betting card as well. Scottie Scheffler ranking out top 7 stat fit wise, top 11 in the model. We look at his recent starts: 29th, 18th, 54th, and a 2nd place finish. Miscut the players, and then a 5th, 20th, and a 7th place finish. So, and it's nice to see that Scottie Scheffler kind of bounced back from that kind of poor recent golf that he had played prior to that. So Scottie Scheffler to me is going to be a spectacular play. And we could go down a little bit further. I also do like Ryan Palmer here. Ryan Palmer is at a good price point for me this week. Course history rank, kind of whatever, guys. It's nice to see that he did have that top 20 finish at the Valero. That's great. Top 50 and all the stats that we're looking at. Ranks out 2nd best stat fit. That's what we really like. 8th in recent form rank. We do like that as well. He's actually made the cut in his last 14 events. We look at his most recent starts. 63rd at the Valspar. He could not get anything going at all. He was someone that I thought would bounce back in the weekend. He didn't, but he really hasn't had any elite finishes. So he's someone that you just play to really make the cut, probably give you a top 20 finish, but maybe not trusting him to do that much. Then kind of the 4th player in this price point range that I actually do like is going to be Sergio Garcia. Kind of much like Rory, where, stat fit wise, Sergio is actually popping top 10 stat fit wise, course history wise. This should actually be a course that he plays well at. Hasn't been playing well recently is where I'm getting at with the Rory point. 2 straight miscuts in a row. Prior to that, have been playing good golf. Maybe just lost it for a little bit. He's someone that, if he goes down and wins, really wouldn't shock me. This is a week where I do think it's going to be a little bit more of a higher variance week, so you might want to factor in a little bit more of the randomness, much like last week. Maybe he's going to be an option for, us this week. And then now we're going to get into that mid-tier price point range. Not a range that I love this week. Really going to be 2 players that pop for me. But it's really only going to be Siwoo Kim this week. And I'm not someone that typically likes to play Siwoo Kim, guys. Siwoo Kim, 68% chance to make the cut. We look at his starts at the Valero Texas Open, 23rd and a 4th place finish. Did miss a cut at that Houston Open in 2021, whatever. That was ranked out top 14 stat fit wise, 5 straight mid cuts in a row. That's what we like: 33rd, 12th, 23rd, 56th, and then 9th place finish at the Players. So yeah, Siwoo Kim, I don't mind at that price point. And then there's just a slew of okay plays. Like Harris English, I'd be fine with going with, I guess. It hasn't really been popping up that much. Top 20 stat fit, it's okay. Don't love that. Really, where I think we're gonna find our, I guess, value in this range is going to be with like Charles Schwartzel, who's been playing well recently. Don't think I want to go with that just yet. It was great playing him, at those lower price points last week, but not this week. Keith Mitchell, I actually don't mind. If you think about a player that should play well on a course like this, it'd be Keith Mitchell. The courses that he had been playing at earlier on the year, not really courses that you would expect him to play well at. Played well last week. Played well, he made the cut at the Valspar, played well at the Valor Texas Open. So these are courses where we kind of expect Keith Mitchell to go out and play better at. So Keith Mitchell, I actually don't mind as a pick this week. Definitely a little bit too risky to go crazy with, maybe just like a 10% ownership play. But I do really like Cameron Champ here. Played well at the last 2 Texas-based courses that he's played at, 34th and 23rd place finish. Actually ranking out his top 28 stat fit, and that's saying something because there's a stretch of golf there where he was just horrible, okay? So I actually don't mind Cameron Champ casually popping up a little bit. Top 25 in the mile. He's someone where I think we can catch him on the upside because his last 2 starts have been pretty good. I actually don't mind Cameron Champ this week, someone that we could easily end up on. And now we're going to move on into that low tier price point range, that 7K price point range. Give it a second here as I filter it out. Just drop that one more. Oh, there we go. Good enough. Close enough. And actually the first one that we're going to start off with is going to be kind of a similar name. We're going to actually start off with another core play. For me, that's going to be Talor Gooch here. Talor Gooch, 4th and a 4th. In the last 2 Houston Opens, he's casually popping up stat fit wise. Yeah, he's going to be a core play for me this week. So just pulling up, he ranks 23rd in recent form rank. That's pretty good. 26th last week. Did miss the cut the Valspar, but before that had a nice stretch of golf where he finished 56th, 46th, 5th, 43rd, 12th. He had a good stretch of golf in there. We look at, stat fit, top 20 there. Ranks out top 20 in the model. Don't mind Talor Gooch as a pick at that price point. 80-1 feels pretty good odds for him as well. If we go a little bit lower, there's another pick that I casually like as well. We're going to have Doug Ghim popping up as another core play. Kind of weird that the 2 core plays I'm at are going to be kind of grouped together, but we got Doug Ghim here as well. Doug Ghim popping up as a top 5 stat fit. Okay, his lowest stat that we're looking at this week is going to be effective birdie to bogey ratio, where he's 34th. That is absolutely spectacular. I'm really liking Doug Ghim. Really, we're going with the stat fit there with him, but he did finish 44th at the Valor Texas Open in 2021, which we kind of just saw recently. But, he's been a little bit streaky here. Miscut at the Valspar, then made the cut in his previous 2. Miscut the Honda, then made the cut in his previous 2. Miscut the Genesis Invite, then made the cut in his previous 3. So yeah, Doug Ghim I actually don't mind at that price point, but yeah, it is going to be a little bit more risky than maybe, you would probably want, but that's just kind of the week that we have, guys. We kind of have to just roll with it. Then if we want to play someone else in this price range, I don't really suggest it, but we could maybe go back to the well with Vincent Whaley, who finally is getting priced appropriately. Made the cut in his last 8 events, is actually ranking out top 25 in the model. So we're getting someone that has made the cut in his last 8 events and is ranking out top 25 in the model. He actually ranks out top 10 in recent form rank. We can see why, guys. He's actually been a top, 35 machine. I was really a head scratcher to see why he was getting priced as low as he was. Still kind of priced a little bit too low. I know he doesn't have the name value, but it's kind of weird. Now, James Hahn has been kind of horrible. Recently, James Hahn has been, he's just playing horrible. 2 straight missed cuts. A little bit hit or miss prior to that, but this is a perfect bounce back spot for him where, he's played well in Texas previously. We look at his last 2 starts recently, a 50th and a 23rd. Going to be a good stat fit, top 10. This is a week where maybe we have to take a little bit more risk. He'd be someone that I don't mind ending up on. Then another player in this price range is going to be Scott Piercy. Scott Piercy finished 32nd at the Houston Open in 2021. Recent form-wise, missed the cut at the Valspar, which maybe that's all he needed to do because he finished top 12 last week. He's a guy that had been grinding out a bunch of made cuts. And I'm like, he hasn't been playing all that well. Statistically speaking, he's been horrible, and he shouldn't have been really doing that. He's been a guy that grades out as someone that was, barely making cuts. Right, I saw top 36 in the model. He's someone that if you want to end up on, I don't blame you. I don't mind it as a pick. Now we're going to get into the value tier. The value tier, there's not that many good picks this week. Right? This is definitely much more of a balanced build approach, and probably one where you don't want to play too much. It's going to be similar to that of last week, where don't go crazy with it. You can have some fun with it. It's probably just going to be a yellow week. It's just kind of the week we have. We can't control those weeks that we have. We just got to play what we have. We'll say Roger Sloan is casually catching my eye. Don't really like that. Does rank out top 21 stat fit wise. Don't love that, like I said. Let's see why. 47% chance to make the cut. That's not great. Okay, I guess recent form wise, nothing great. Don't love him, obviously. Let's see here. Anyone else popping up? Maybe. Joseph Bremlett, I could see. I mentioned he did finish 31st here in 2012. That's not really that great, as we know, but 2 make cuts at the Texas-based comp courses that we're looking at. Ranks as someone that should be right around the cut line. Don't mind that. Previous to last week, he had been playing some good golf. Really, it could have just been one bad round, because other than that, he had played all right. Let's see, everyone else popping up. Josh Teeter kind of popped up a little bit there. Top 30 in the model. Not really good comp course history. Top 22 stat fit, ranks out 30th in the model. That's not bad. We can see, not many that cuts on the tour this season. And, that's really it. I'm kind of cheering for my boy DJ Trahan to make the cut. That's really it. That's all I got. Just a very interesting week value-wise for us to go with. Now, I would mention something about Webb Simpson rant-wise. Let's get into that. So I should start off with saying, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely leave a like. The little spiel. If you guys want to use the tools that you've seen in this video, head over to 95 Sports, $10 a month. But the Webb Simpson rant, Webb Simpson withdrew right after a lineup block, so no one had a chance to replace him in their builds. And I'm not saying that we need a late swap. I think that would actually kind of ruin the game, DFS wise. But FanDuel and DraftKings do have the ability to switch in another player who replaces said player. So Webb Simpson withdrew. He got replaced by Tim Wilkinson. Now, no one expects Tim Wilkinson to do anything, but there's nothing worse than waking up, seeing your guy withdraw, and have a 0. This has happened a ton so far this season, probably at least 10 times. It seems like every week this happens now, and it shouldn't be. Just, if this happens, simply replace them with their player that's replacing them. It's as simple as that. Give us the 30 or so DraftKings points so we're not dead in the water. You can normally have one miss and still be able to profit. It's just dumb. They have the ability to fix it. And, at the very least, whoever scores the least points in DFS that week on the DraftKings or FanDuel player pool, swap those points in for Webb Simpson so you're not getting a fat 0. Because those 20 points do add up throughout the week, and that's why we always focus on getting 6 for 6 across the skyline. It's such a simple fix. They just don't care, and I don't get it. It's kind of a weird thing. But that's all I have for you guys this week. Hope you enjoyed it, and as always, let's keep cashing.